Jeff and I ran this down a second ago. We were just getting ready. It starts basically in 4/4. Play maybe the bass line in the beginning. How fast does it go? Okay, so that immediately tells me it's funky. That's what it sounds like. So that's the groove. So now I'm thinking, what's Dean going to play?
Yeah, me too.
What is Dean going to play? So it sounds kind of bluesy. So you think bluesy. Yay! That song was called Rule of Thumb, written by Jeff. Now, you notice we went into a separate section at the very end. Anybody know what time signature that was in?
Kind of like 6.
Sort of. Actually, it could have been looked at it that way, the way I played it. Well, the way it's written is actually written in 6/8. So we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4. And we went into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And basically, there's a weird measure in the middle of the phrase. There's a 3/8 measure. So Jeff's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And that was the last section. Want to play just the ending, and I'll just play it on the cymbal? Is that the right tempo? Go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Great, cool. Okay. And I could see why you'd think it was a shuffle, because my instincts were not to play 1, 2, 5, 6, 1, 2. Do some drummers play it that way? 1, 2, or do they play it the way we just played it mostly?
Everybody plays it different, but
Yeah.
it's 6.
See, that's the beauty of playing improvised music. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I could think of 5, 10 different ways I could play that same thing.
Can we try it like the transition?
Okay.
Like when it's in 4, bump, bump,
Okay.
bump.
Now I don't know if I did
bump,
that
bump.
exact, because we're
Well, just on the
playing 1,
last
2,
measure,
3,
maybe
4,
go dum,
1.
bum.
So it's technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Is that what it would be? 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So it's actually slower that I was playing it slower. Good. Okay. We're gonna take it from the second ending.
Take it for the second ending.
All right. Let me see if I can actually.
So we're gonna play 8 bars of 4 and then go into the 6.
So 1, 3. You count whatever.
1, 2.
Tried about 5 different ways of playing that. I was playing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I was going and double bass drum. A lot of different ways to play it, and that's what's a lot of fun. Any questions?
And I gotta say that playing with him makes it much easier to play than normal for me, because he's so great and it feels so good that it makes me play better.
And with you guys, and thank you again for being here.
And I include Dean into the picture too. Equal.
Well, from an educational standpoint, though, what I'm trying to do is make the pulse really obvious. I mean, I'm kind of playing around it and goofing around on the drums a little bit, but I'm really trying to keep that and that when that 3/8 comes, I was actually trying to make it easier, because I know some drummers who are just like the most pyrotechnic, amazing drummers can disguise this thing so you would never know what you were even remotely playing, which is fun, but it's also hard to play with. I know drummers that twist it around, and you gotta like hold on for dear life. And a lot of jazz drummers too, like say the great Elvin Jones. I mean, he would play over figures, and he knew where he was, but it was really, obviously if you're a rhythm section person to play with it, it's really, really hard. So I was trying, every time we got to the 3/8, I was trying to at least mark it some way that would be obvious. I mean, my way is to try to make it work, and as opposed to make it really hard.
It's smooth sailing.
Well, it's also
It's a good wave. It's a good wave.
It's a good
Yeah,
wave. It's also very honest, because it's also very honest, because you could play through it and over the bar line just as a means of not having to say, okay, this is where it is, and you're actually saying, clearly stating what you believe, and then it, it's just more sincere.
Yeah.
Can I point out two things that happened that was really cool that Danny did? When we played the tune through the first time, we didn't get to that 6/8 part, right? We were always in 4/4, and it's kind of like a funky feel. But there's a lot of information on this page, and what's tricky is to figure out quickly what's helpful and what's not. So, for example, what was helpful was in the melody, there are these quarter note triplets in the end of the first half and end of the second half of the tune, which is kind of implies what we're going to, like in 10 minutes. And it was really neat because you would play that, and then we did it more as we got closer to the transition going into the 6/8. So it wasn't like we're just, okay, we're in 4/4, now we're in 6/8. It's a different thing. It justified the transition, and it made it make more sense and more musical, I guess, ultimately. The other thing that was really cool was, there's actually a written bass line, but you notice how when we started the tune, I think, Jeff, you started playing a bass line, which wasn't exactly what was written, which is, of course, fine. And then Danny sort of got a pulse, but then he said, let's wait and see what the bass player does. You know what I mean? So it's this kind of, we're reading something, but what's important is what we hear and how we react to each other, and it's all relative to that. Like do you want to try playing it, and let's just all read the part, just as if we were instructed, okay, you have to play this part, and let's make it, just do your job, kind of.
Sure. And the first thing I notice as a drummer, this is not it's a lead sheet. This is, everybody's got the same part. No drum part. This is just the same thing. And I'm looking at the rhythms that are written for Dean, and it's doon doon da ga goon ga doon da ga goon goon da ga goon. Is that what it is? Doon goon ga goon ga doon goon ga goon ga da ga da ga doon da ga goon ga da ga da ga da 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 ga da 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 da.
Sorry, don't feel bad. We're not saying it's bad what you did, because it's a basis for the tune.
Well, I'm very insecure, so.
Now I'm not going to play that in the bass drum. That I could try, but I think that would just ruin it. So I'm just going to play. To me, play a beat, let Dean do his thing. That's what it says to me.
Dean, are you just showing off how good you can read?
No, because I wanted to make the point that we could have just made this the priority, but instead we made what we're hearing the priority.
It's like reading between the lines.
Yeah, and I played a lot less, and I think we all did, because we're just listening to each other and letting it evolve naturally.
So why don't you play it once how it's written to the first ending, and then the second time to the second ending, play it what you.
Okay, yeah.
That would make it work for us.
And I played the melody as written as well, and then I kind of played around with the melody the second time too.
And I tried to play what was written, but actually I couldn't, because too hard. It's actually too hard to play. So I didn't try and sound bad. I just chose to.
There was no
try and
reason to
sound
do
better.
it. Yeah, I mean, other than just if we play, let's take this at a slower tempo. Take it at 1, 2. Try and see what happens to the bass line there. Yeah. See if it makes more sense at a slower tempo. 1, 2, 3. It almost sounds like a Motown, like a James Jamerson or whatever, that, but not really, and it doesn't really work to me there, so I wouldn't do it like that. But interesting. And also, just from a drum standpoint, I mean, I guess if you had to sum up something about me in terms of how I approach this, I'm trying to make every section sound a little different. And I've played many times where you start off really loud and then there's nowhere to go. And by the third chorus, it's like, okay, great, here we go again. We're playing the same thing again. And we've already hit the peak. So in a way, it's kind of finding a way to get softer, orchestrate it more, go to the cymbal, go to the hi-hat, play the rim, play simple, leave it space. Give the music a chance to have some place to develop into. From one spot to the other, and also to make each section different. And also, it's an adventure. One of the things at the school where I teach that we talk about is sometimes when you look at a piece of music, you go into playing, and you have a preconceived idea of what it's going to be, and you have a guideline, but there's lots of surprises. I mean, when you were talking about looking at the chart, I didn't remember if we went to the 6/8 the first time or not. So I was looking, and I said, "Now, are we going to the 6/8 or are we not?" No, we didn't. So I was ready for the 6/8 or not. So I was kind of, and then after we played, I thought, okay, now we're in the solo. Is he going to go to the 6/8? No, okay. And then, I'm kind of heads up and trying to make it work as we go on the fly. So that's to me one of the intangibles. And how can you learn that? By just listening a lot to musicians. To me, by having studied people who play a lot of music and listening all the time and playing. You know that there are some options, and it just takes time to develop all that stuff. But it's really just kind of having fun and making it an adventure, and that I think is what my whole approach is.